Both wound up. Good check. Everybody looking? Everybody looking good? Unless someone looking through that snake patch, that's the only place. Welcome to Guam. Welcome. Thank you. Richard. Pakistan and Jack Sawyer, 100% Good to see you. All right. Sir, how are you? You don't have to get up now. We couldn't see you. How are you? Thank you for everything. You good? We're going to see you in a few days. How you doing? God bless you. Take care of yourself. American guys will always have to recognize. No, you don't have to stand up. Frank. Frank. Hope. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The secretary to the president, the best cabinet pick ever. I wrote it.
He signed it to you. This is his book, Patrick Zilianis.
Gonna be okay?
I'm a submariner, but I watched you. When I saw what the Democrats said about you, I knew you're the best.
Let's see.
Well, wonderful day.
Frank, good to see you.
All right, how we doing here? This is a beautiful picture of America right here, if I've ever seen it. Take a seat, please. What an absolute honor it is to be here. On behalf of a grateful nation, on behalf of the President of the United States, who knows I'm here right now, who knows you're here right now, and sends a very clear message from the Commander-in-Chief. We have your back in every way you can imagine. I understand the depth of what you're giving to the country because not that long ago, I was sitting in a seat just like you, wearing the uniform of our country, doing everything I can to ensure that those I love thousands of miles away are safe and free. The basics of why we put the uniform on. But to be out here with these men in the front row, in case you don't know, veterans of Iwo Jima, who in just a few days we're going to honor. Is that better? You couldn't even hear me and you were faking it. I was trying to sound off as best I could. Now that sounds better. In the front row, we have veterans of Iwo Jima, who 80 years ago gave more than we can even conceive. And in a couple days, we're going to honor what they did 80 years ago. Something those Americans thousands of miles away understood in some sense was going on. They knew there was a dangerous conflict halfway around the world that needed to be fought against vicious enemies to preserve freedom at home. And there were young men, and I look at this row and I see young men who answered that call stood up and said, "I will defend my nation in far-flung places, taking on impossible missions that average, everyday Americans cannot even conceive of." I look at this row, and then I look out at this group, and I see young men and young women willing to answer the exact same call 80 years later. I see soldiers, airmen, Marines, sailors. It's always Marines that sound off. Who answered that very same call. And for that, I'm comforted. I know that my kids and my grandkids will live in a world where they have an opportunity to live free. My job is to ensure that you have everything you need, if and when that moment comes, but hopefully to prevent that moment from coming in the first place. So when the president asked me to do this job, he's told me two things up front, amongst many. He said, first, he said, "Pete, you're gonna have to be tough as shit." He said, "You're gonna have to be tough," and that has proven to be true. But number two, he said, "I need you, I want you to restore the warrior ethos to our military. Get it back to basics. Warfighting, lethality, accountability, readiness, standards. Across our formations, ensuring that we get back to the basics and that our unity is our strength. It's not where we come from, it's not what we look like, it's not what race we are or what gender we are. What unites us is who we are in shared purpose as Americans. Full stop, end of story." That's what my formation looked like when I was a young platoon leader, and I know that's what your formation looks like. And that's our only expectation. So we set the standard and we meet the standard. We train as we fight, and we cultivate the warrior ethos in everything that we do as we train and prepare. We will be prepared. So we're doing three key things. We're restoring the warrior ethos. And we've seen that response in the recruiting numbers in just the first few months since President Trump took office. Record-breaking numbers of young Americans just like you going to the recruiting office saying, "Sign me up, I want to be a part of that." And that's a reflection of the President's leadership. We're also committed to rebuilding the military. You will have the most lethal, capable platforms on Earth to close with and destroy the enemy. That's a promise we have to make to you. That's a fight we engage in Washington, D.C. Is to make sure any fight you're in is never a fair fight. We're not sending our men and women home in body bags. If we have to fight, we're sending the other guy home in body bags. We are in the business of warfighting. No other business. Don't get us confused with other professions. You are warfighters on behalf of our nation. And we're going to make sure you have a military built and prepared for that fight. In fact, I was in the Oval Office with the President just a week ago when he announced the new 6th-generation fighter, the F-47. It'll be the most lethal, the most stealth, have the longest range of any U.S. fighters that the world has ever seen. So at the biggest, most strategic level, we're making those investments. But also inside your formations, our job is to make sure, from ships to planes to rifles, you have what you need. And we're doing that with a generational investment that President Trump is committed to because he loves and reveres the troops. So we're reviving the warrior ethos, we're rebuilding our military, and we are re-establishing deterrence. Unfortunately, for far too long, America did not look as strong as we should. We sent the wrong signals to both our enemies and our allies. So when President Trump took office, he said that ends now. Our word means something, and that starts now. It started where? On our home front. Like you, I spent 2 decades fighting wars a long way away, defending other people's borders. And President Trump said, we're first and foremost going to secure our border. Border security is national security. And that's why the DOD snapped to right away to ensure we're prepared to lock down and get 100% operational control of our border. The American people deserve the safety and security of knowing who's entering our country and ensuring we understand where they're coming from. We welcome people coming to America. We want them coming legally. Otherwise, as the President has said, the border is closed to anyone who seeks another way of entering our country. Because we need to know who's in our country. That's central in a dangerous world with adversaries who'd like to find a different way in. But reestablishing deterrence also means, I don't know, if you're going to shoot at our ships in the Middle East, we're not just going to take it and take another route. We're going to say that's unacceptable. Freedom of navigation is a core national interest. And we're going to ensure that you pay for shooting at our warships or our commercial ships. So we're going to reopen freedom of navigation. That's what's happening right now in CENTCOM with the leadership of courageous military leaders and folks just like you. Reestablishing deterrence. But nowhere is it more significant than right out here in the Indo-Pacific, where you are at the tip of the spear. You are at the front of the formation. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. You're living in history. You're living in reality. You're living in a dangerous neighborhood. You are America's power projection platform. The American people rely on you. I rely on you. Admiral Poparo relies on you. The Commander-in-Chief relies on you. As you step forward and say, we're not here to start war, but we're going to be strong so that we are able to deter war. My first platoon motto ever was, those who long for peace must prepare for war. We don't seek war. We don't seek confrontation. But by being strong, our belief is that we will deter it. And our allies in this neighborhood see the encroachment of communist China with very different intentions. And again, we hope to have a peaceful relationship with them. But we also stand with our allies to defend against that encroachment and defend American interests. This group, very much at the front lines, understands that each and every day. And our vow to you in the Pentagon is to share the urgency that you have to be prepared for a fight should that day ever come. But you know you have a president, a commander-in-chief president who has no desire to start new wars or nation build or be an interventionist. It's truly a belief in peace through strength. A strong America deters conflict. American leadership ensures the free world is protected to advance American interests and the interests of our allies. You know, I've spent some time overseas like so many of you have, like you are right now, and I tried really hard when I was overseas and elsewhere to get as far away from the flagpole as possible. Well, now it seems I am the flagpole. But my job is to understand where you sit, to understand what's going through your mind, what you're thinking about, anticipating, what you need to train, to prepare, to have the guidance necessary for a future fight. And I can promise you with each and every day, the staff that's here with me, those in Washington, are committed to having your back. It was beautiful to fly in, sit up in the front of the cockpit with the pilots, watch us descend on this island. realizing that it's an enclave of American power. And I'm going to get a chance to tour it today and see what you all do. But it brought me back to World War II to close. Because my grandfather, on my mom's side, on my dad's side, my grandfather was a corporal in the Army. He was a tanker in Germany post-war. On my mom's side, Grandpa Milton, a man I never met, he died before I was born, was an ensign, a Navy ensign, right here in Guam, from 1945 to 1946. In fact, he ran the commissary. He made sure people were taken care of. He did his job. He played his role. He came from a small town, Wanamingo, Minnesota, of 300 people. Blink and you miss it. And he had 3 other brothers that went to the war with him. Like I said, I never met him. He was on his way. He traveled from Norfolk through the Panama Canal out to Hawaii and then to Guam. And during his transit, the war ended with Japan. He came to Guam after the war was over. But it's a recognition of the legacy of Americans who have held the line out here along with our allies. Milt Haugen could have been sitting in a seat just like this. And he would be proud to look out at the men and women in this formation who carry on that legacy. So I don't come here with some complicated, sexy, strategic message. Our message is we're getting back to basics. We're going to do what we do best. We're going to push the decisions out to the commanders. We're going to untie the hands of warfighters. We're going to close with and destroy the enemy. We're going to train as we fight. We're going to do what warriors do. Full stop, end of story. This is not a social experiment. We're not here to pontificate with studies about climate change. We're here to deter our enemies and, if necessary, defeat them decisively on the battlefield. That's it. And in the process, the President has your back, and I have your back. So it is an honor to be here. Thank you for what you do, and Godspeed to all our great warriors. Thank you very much. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your full name.
I, Matthew Michalowski,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
And that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
and the orders of the officers appointed over me,
and the orders of the officers appointed over me,
according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Winning team for Best Regional Hub Node for all of the Army. Sergeant First Class Aaron Ratuyan is Active Guard Reserve and a Human Resource Manager at the Barrigada Readiness Complex. She provides advice and assistance to personnel on a wide variety of career broadening and manning allocations. Sergeant Daniel Kelly from the Provost Marshal's Office at Marine Corps Base Camp Lodge is a highly skilled physical security specialist whose expertise has been crucial in enhancing the security posture of the Marine Corps base. Bosun Mate Second Class Elizabeth Murray serves as lead rigger and weight test petty officer, responsible for maintenance and upkeep of 600 pieces of weight handling equipment, and was recently meritoriously advanced. Master Sergeant James Bonin is the infrastructure superintendent assigned to the 36th Civil Engineer Squadron that leads 83 military and civilian personnel across 4 sections to maintain critical support infrastructure for the DoD's largest hub in the Second Island chain. Technical Sergeant Alana Laguana is a personnel craftsman who the 254th Force Support Squadron here in the Guam Air National Guard, and just recently augmented PACAF future operations staff by processing 151 force flow actions for U.S. Indo-PACOM's C2 Trilateral Integrated Deterrence. Machinery Technician First Class Garrett Preston is an Assistant Engineering Petty Officer for the Coast Guard cutter Earl Hazard, and was instrumental in getting the ship up and running after a 6-month dry dock availability. Mr. Secretary, we will now be opening the floor up for questions from our audience.
Is good straightforward in terms of the latest personnel as far as equipment. How do you foresee Indo-PACOM?
That's part of the advantage that they have. We hope it doesn't, but our job is to be postured each and every day so that it interrupts their decision loop, and they say today is not amongst many. He said everywhere we go, he's talking to troops. And wants to get near the ground what isn't working, what needs to be done to incentivize people to want to be here. This is a really strategically significant place. What are I know there are infrastructure challenges here, there are quality of life challenges here, which lead to personnel challenges here. Go for it, defend our nation. I know you will. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, hey, on me, right here. Right here, guys. Right here, go ahead and shoot. I got it. You can go to the next one.
It's a personal gift to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presence here, and I just want to
Thank you very much for having us.
look forward to a good discussion.
Very much so. Likewise.
Hi, Mr. Secretary. John Campbell, the Governor's Chief of Staff. Nice. Thank you. Welcome to Guam.
Of course. Thank you. Sir, how are you? Thanks so much for having us. Appreciate it. Are you here as well? I heard. Yeah, we had the congressional delegation over here too. What I learned about. Joe, come on over. John.
John Campbell, Governor's speech.
Thanks for it, man. Well, I want to thank our governors and congressmen. Thank you so much for this amazing honor and for this welcome. We do feel at home because we are home. And it's great to be here at Anderson Air Force Base. And as I mentioned before, President Trump has made it clear that our goal is to achieve peace through strength by putting America first, but that means working with partners and allies throughout the region and in reestablishing deterrence and building capabilities right here. These islands are the tip of America's spear in the Pacific. Guam and CNMI, vital parts of America and central to our defense mission. And I want to be very clear, everyone in this room, to the cameras, any attack against these islands is an attack against the U.S. We recognize that, we understand that, we are committed to that. And we would meet any attack with the appropriate response. This is home to 20,000 active duty members, DoD civilians and families who serve here, 8,000 active duty troops. And at CNMI, 150 active duty members as well. So we've got a commitment across. We're defending our homeland. You got the Guam Defense System, which is a model for the Golden Dome, something President Trump has talked a lot about. We're going to learn a lot here and also forward deploy capabilities that need to exist on American soil. And we're going to continue to stay committed to our presence here. As I said to all the troops too, publicly, and it's important to emphasize, we are not seeking war with Communist China, but it is our job to ensure that we are ready. And I mentioned this to the troops, I'll say it again. My first platoon motto was those who long for peace must prepare for war. It is our responsibility as the Defense Department to be leaning forward and prepared. And Guam, central and vital to those preparations. So I want to thank everybody here for their civilian commitment to what has to happen and what is happening here at Guam. Strengthening civilian infrastructure underpins the ability for military buildup, and it has to be done working together. So I want to thank you for your leadership in that regard. I've just had a chance to sit down with military leadership here, and their compliments and appreciation for what you're doing was every single one of them emphasized how important and significant that is. We want to just continue to foster it. And thank you also. It's something I think it's a little underappreciated in CONUS is the patriotism of this island, the commitment to service, the veterans, the number of veterans on this island, 12,000 veterans, and just the recognition of what service means here. This is our first stop for a reason. This is America first also, right here. And we want to make sure our allies and adversaries completely understand that. So I'm here to let you know that, as I said to the troops, we have your back. President Donald Trump has your back as well. And we're building out the mission here in the hope of generations of peace on this absolutely beautiful island. As I mentioned, I don't know who was there and who wasn't, but my grandfather, Milton Haugen, was my mom's father was an ensign here at Guam in 1945 and 1946. Prepared to go to war, ended up post-war, but it's a reminder for me of how long we've had a commitment to this special place. So God bless you all. Thank you I look forward to our meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary. And I'd like just to begin by giving respect and a great thank you to President Trump. It's a great relief to hear his position with Indo-PACOM. And you're absolutely right about the importance of forward deployment, readiness, and strength and deterrence. And we, the people of Guam, are shouldered with the burden of peace out here in this Pacific. And we are patriotic because we are the only U.S. soil that was invaded and occupied during World War II. And during that whole 3 years, our people suffered great atrocities. Families saw their mothers raped and their fathers beheaded. And so we still have that vivid vision, and that's why we are so patriotic with the military. And as you said, we have been a U.S. territory since 1898. So there's been a long, long-standing history of relationship with the United States. And so we welcome you, and we welcome the position and the posture that President Trump has said. Like I said, it's a great relief. I also wanted to say that, you know, all the military buildup that is happening here, as you know, has a great impact in the lives of our people. We are the center of gravity here. We are the second island chain of defense, and we very much want to help with that preparation. Governor McMillan, when the Japanese Imperial Army took over, did also say that they were not prepared. And all leaders of Indo-PACOM that I have met with says they're not going to happen. That's not going to happen again. So we so appreciate that from you. Military buildup has really impacted in all areas. And I always say national security cannot happen without human health security first. And that's very important in terms of looking at what are some of the assistance and the needs of our civilian community here on our island. Of course, we are in a very active campaign, Mr. Secretary, to build a hospital here. And we are working very closely in partnership with the military. And one of our asks is to be a partner in the financing of that hospital. One way to do that is for you to convene the Economic Adjustment Committee, which is your authority really as Secretary of Defense, to convene and establish this Economic Adjustment Committee. What that committee does is through Congress, and when you convene it, it brings 22 federal agencies to the table. And we make a presentation of what we feel are the impacts of our lives, our island, as a result of hosting military activities here in Guam. And so when that happens, we can make our presentation about the importance of having a capacity in our healthcare system that would be able to address mass casualty, not just mass casualty from conflict, but mass casualty from natural disasters. And a hospital that will meet also healthcare delivery services, not just for the civilians, but for the military. Our Guam Naval Hospital does not have that capacity. It's only a 39-bed hospital right now. And so when we build this hospital, we are going to work very closely with the military to also provide some of the needs that they think they need to address mass casualty. In addition, it's not just going to be a hospital that would meet the island needs, but it's going to be a regional hospital to be able to provide care to the Republic of Palau, FSM, and RMI. And Governor Palacios here is a great neighbor and a brother in CNMI, and he also shares our ask for the hospital because it does provide also health care for their people. And as you know, Tinian is also very active in providing the preparation for conflict. Hopefully it doesn't happen. And so hospital is a big, big concern with us. The other one, of course, is hardening our infrastructure. You know, I always say China is not going to win this war by missiles. China is going to win this war by taking down our port, taking down our airport, taking down our waters, taking down our electricity, all those things that are necessary for the defense of our people. And so that's why it's very important, Mr. Secretary, to really invest in hardening the infrastructure, putting electricity underground, monitoring our water wells, and so forth. Roads is another one. We need gantry cranes to be replaced in our port because the Port Authority here services 30% of goods and services that come in for military purposes. And so that's very important that we also provide a gantry crane that can do that work. So we are working with Marriott, and we are looking at a funding source through Marriott. So just for your information, you know, we're very active in trying to find our resources to help that. The other thing that is very critical is cybersecurity. And I just want to thank your team under the leadership of Noah Smith from Indo-PACOM, who then launched this program called Immortal Phoenix. And what that is, it's a system that they are providing for Guam through the military. They're applications that would monitor our water wells, monitor our electricity. For example, they gave me a presentation that this software can monitor and detect if the chlorine line is separated. They can alert us quickly. These are the kinds of things that I am actually very fortunate to have that resource for our water wells, our electricity, and not just all of that, but our government's protection of vital information through cybersecurity strengthening. I know that we are working very closely with the National Guard, as that application is going to probably be housed through the National Guard and administered through our Guam Homeland Security Advisor. The other thing that I think is very important for you to know is one of the biggest problems here in our island, because we're so far away, is supplies and parts for submarines at the SRF, for submarine repairs and also ship repair, right? So I had invited 3D manufacturing company to Guam, and happy to know that your Maritime Industry Business Office has just signed a $40 million contract with Astro to start this 3D manufacturing. And what this company is going to do is it's going to set up its shop here, manufacture parts through 3D, and be able to just quickly have the parts that's needed to repair the ships and the submarines, so they don't have downtime of 2 weeks having to get the supplies, or even just going over to Hawaii or Oregon or Washington for their repairs, right? Because like you said, we need to be quick in the defense. And so if they're out here having repairs and they have to wait for parts, you can imagine the delay in that quickness. So that's very crucial also. And the company's Astro, and they have just gotten a $40 million. So we may need some more funding to stand up our University of Guam Training Center, and we are working closely with the College of Mines to train our people for the quality of the parts that they will be manufacturing. Very key, I think, Mr. Secretary, in the quickness of repair.
Well, thank you for telling us exactly. Well, you're going to fit it nicely. Keep it coming, man. All right. Well, I appreciate you. Thank y'all.
Absolutely positive. Got to meet him right when he came off the plane. Of course, we went on over and saw give his speech to the troops. That was really good motivation, and saying what President Trump has in mind for the defense of the nation and for protection of the people of Guam. We just had a great opportunity with Governor Leon Guerrero and Governor from Saipan and myself. So we pitched our own lines. Of course, we're looking at for ourselves several things: defense access roads, upgrading to a trauma center for Naval Hospital, and the dry dock situation that are important for the defense of the nation and Guam. But also, most importantly, we're looking at making sure we're getting recognition for Medal of Honor winners that well deserve that. So I think we're on a good line for that. So I'm happy he's here. We're looking forward to seeing him in Iwo Jima. I'll be there with him and speaking some more about Guam with him too.
How convinced are you that he's going to be able to deliver on all the things that you're asking for?
I'm solid with that. He has a personal heart, being with his grandfather that was here shortly after the war and working hard. He made us an important stop in his career as Secretary of Defense. This is important. They know what the Indo-PACOM situation is. They want to protect the people of Guam. And he started off his mentioning any attack on Guam in the Mariana Islands is an attack against the United States of America, and they will meet with aggression. Thank you very much.
The federal government has made. Guam was very fortunate that when the plan for the Marines relocation was put in place, a lot of the infrastructure had to be addressed. And fast forward to today, we have to do that in the Commonwealth too, whether it's sports, whether it's utilities, whether it's our hospital, whether it's economic recovery. Yeah, ports, absolutely, the ports needs to be, or power systems.
But are you, after meeting with the Secretary, I don't know if you had a chance to address, he talked about forces posture, and he said to the Tinian, Saipan, and even Rota will still be carried out by the military.
Yes, and of course we can't tell them that they need to do this. They're the ones that plan for it, right? So
they are planning.
But at the end of the day, it is also our obligation as people of the Commonwealth and civic leaders of the Commonwealth to amplify and to facilitate and to articulate the needs of the civilian populations as we move forward with any foster.
Did he talk about further investments, or are there any scale down, considering that there are massive federal cuts? Is there any scale down on the Tinian project?
He didn't say that. So you'd expect that Tinian project continue at 65% completed. I don't think the Department of Defense would invest that much. And Northfield's pretty much. When was the last time you were up the site then? Yeah? You see the fields. You see the strips now.
Yes,
very clearly and very almost manicured. So it's going to move. So those investments are in place, and we want them to take a look at it. They're looking at the ports, Tinian ports and Saipan ports. And Rota is a little bit difficult, but they're also looking at the concept to build a very passive property facilities in Rota and Saipan.
I know that we just spoke to local media, but can you just give us your biggest takeaway from that meeting?
His support by the Secretary of Defense coming to the island of Guam. That's one of his first stops. We know the importance that Representative has, especially the President's interest through the Secretary of Defense being here. He was talking to the troops upon his landing, motivating them. Right after that, having a meeting with the governors of NMI and Governor of Guam and myself. So listening to our issues too. This is important for the nation. This is important for the people of Guam, us being U.S. citizens. He did make it stressful and loud and clear that any attack on Guam, NMI, is attack on the United States of America. They are here to protect, so that's why they're here, and I'm really happy with that. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Asked for, which included the financing for the hospital, this economic adjustment committee. How confident are you that the Secretary of Defense can be able to deliver on those?
You know, he left the meeting saying they're making investments into, of course, this part of the world. And again, he emphasized President Trump's statement and position about preparing here, and, you know, peace through strength and forward deployment, and the importance of being ready for any kind of conflict. He emphasized that again. He said he's taken good notes. His staff was there, and he said he's heard the message. And I expect that he will move some of our requests, which I think are all requests and initiatives that only strengthens again the military defense for national security and of course human health security here on our island.
And are you confident that he understands the strategic importance of Guam?
Yes, I am. He mentioned about the importance of working with us here. He mentioned, you know, China, geopolitical tensions out there, and how it's important that as the second island chain of defense that we come very prepared. So, you know, he is, of course, young, energetic, you know, young for me, energetic, and I think he wants to do good. He said that when they were laying the whole land, when he was confirmed, his priority was to come out here in this part of the world first. And so he wanted to visit Hawaii, and as you heard in his confirmation hearing, when they asked him, what is your priority, Mr. Hegseth, and he said Guam. Guam is our priority. So saying that during his confirmation hearing, saying it again here, gives me great confidence that we will continue down the road as we have to prepare our island for defense of our nation and our people here in this region. And I told him, you heard, I told him I was very relieved to know that the president is continuing on with that posture here. Yeah.
So what's the next step? The secretary has talked about coming back, but do you envisage that?
Absolutely. You know, we try to make visits to Pentagon, and I will make a visit again to visit with the various secretaries that have been confirmed. I didn't do it the last time in D.C. because they were just being confirmed or publicly heard, right? So I do plan to go back. I mentioned to him a very important office, and that's the DOG. It's the Senior Department of Defense official to Guam, and that office has been codified through Congress, so it's a continuing position that was established by the defense, and the purpose of that is to have a close liaison between Guam and the Department of Defense. So
is it still the acting?
Yeah, it's an acting guy now.
Yes.
I think his name is Vic Nanelli. I'm not sure. I did meet with him.
Yes.
I did meet with him because I want to make sure that we continue on with that relationship. And believe me, I'm going to use every opportunity of communication, avenues, pathway, and so forth to continue our message. They do recognize the importance of infrastructure strengthening. They do recognize the importance of the hospital, and I just want to thank Governor Arnold Palacios because he specifically advocated for our hospital financing also, as he sees the benefit, right, for his CNMI residents there. And that I make the point, and I don't know if you guys heard it there, that this hospital is not just going to be for our island community, but it's a regional hospital to make sure that healthcare delivery is improved throughout the region.
How much do you want from it?
Governor Palacios was asking for $1 billion. And I said, no, I think, Secretary, it's about maybe 600 million. And I told him that I had reserved 104 million of ARP money to start the infrastructure. And by the way, we are starting it already. And I asked him to please do not take away my ARP monies.
Gov, there was a big announcement from the Trump administration, I think, this morning that they're trying to claw back some of that COVID money that was given out to the states and territories.
Yeah,
Is that
you
going to
know,
affect us?
I don't think it's the ARP. I'm thinking it might be the CARES Act money. Yeah, I don't think it's the ARP.
So have we confirmed that it's secure yet? That
Which
the ARP
one?
is the 104 for the hospital is secure?
Absolutely, it's obligated. You know, I know the Attorney General is saying otherwise, but his information is totally inaccurate.
Is there anything that the SecDef told you today that surprised you?
No.
Yeah. Okay. In your State of the Island, you mentioned you talked about asking the military to adjust the military housing allowance.
Yeah,
to
no, we
fix
didn't talk
the-
about that at all. And I know housing is a big concern, but you know, that doesn't mean that there's not going to be any opportunities. After the meeting, some of his key staff came up to me and said we need to communicate and we need to work together. And so, you know, that also is a very important, I think, outcome of this meeting. And everything that Secretary Hegseth said was very comforting for me, and I'm sure for our people, knowing that there's going to be continued attention and focus in this part of the world for peace and security for our people and our region.
Could you give us a timeline for the Astro project?
So the Astro project, you know, they've announced it to me. I think they're going to do a press release on it. I don't know any timeline. All I know is that a contract has been signed, and that is the biggest hurdle. And so it's going to move forward, and we're going to have 3D printing and additive manufacturing as one of our industries for economic improvement, for more jobs for our people, more training for our people. It's just another industry, I think, that can even expand just not into the military, but throughout the civilian community.
Is there a spot that UOG that has already been identified for?
UOG, I think they're working with UOG for land. They do have a warehouse that they have already rented out, so I think they're going to start there.
Governor, can you respond to the attack plans that were released through the unclassified messaging chat signal? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't want to make a statement about that.
Are you concerned or worried about that at all, and the implications it might have for Guam?
Well, you know, of course I am concerned about defense here. Always a concern no matter what. And so, yeah, absolutely, I'm concerned about defense as always, whether, you know, there's a breach or whatever, that is always a concern.
Maureen, you have a question?
So what are you talked a little bit about, I mean, he seems very relaxed, right, in Guam. He seems comfortable talking to people. Is that your impression? I mean, he's very different than when he's standing up in Congress.
He seems like a very approachable man. You know, there were jokes made during the meeting, and you're right. It was I felt very relaxed. I felt very welcome, and I thought that he was really listening. And even his staff, they were taking copious notes. You saw that. And the message is we're going to do everything we can to, of course, make sure our island is safe, secured, and in the interest of national security.
Gov, can you say anything?
And don't worry, I will follow up.
Is there anything that you can say about how things are in under the new Trump White House versus the Biden administration? Have there been changes in the vision for Guam and the region, and how the U.S. is going to face with China?
I don't think there's changes in the vision in relation to defense here, and that was very comforting for me. I don't know their position with Taiwan. We didn't really talk about that. But I do know that they're very concerned about Chinese threats to this part of the region.
Did you get to talk at all about the missile defense plan?
No, only that that there's environmental impact study being done.
Okay, last question. Was there any discussion about the military relocation, the Marines relocation?
No, he knows that there's military buildup. I'm sure he went through the relocation. There's no change in it. He didn't mention any kind of delays or any of that. So I'm thinking it'll continue on as planned.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks,
And again, thank you.